was going through a lot mentally, and it showed on the court physically also. And I was contemplating on quitting basketball. I didn't. It's like I don't know if this is for me.
Today on the sideline, we're talking with pro basketball player, entrepreneur, and record breaker at the University of Memphis. Madison Griggs is up next. Welcome back to the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Sandy Adams, and this is where we dive deep into the world of sports and the athletes that make up that world. So grab your iced tea or your coffee because I'm from the South. Get ready to be motivated and inspired because this is where the real stories are told. Today's guest on the sideline is a former star basketball player and record breaker at both Houston High School and the University of Memphis. She just closed out her collegiate career ranked 11th in all-time scoring in program history with 1,602 points, and she set the University of Memphis career three-point field goal record for both men's and women's with 363. She's also an entrepreneur with her brand 96th in Madison. Currently, she's packing to head to vacation and then over to Greece to start her professional basketball career. Welcome to the show, Madison Griggs.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hey, I am so excited. So I know I put it in the show notes, but a lot of people out there don't know this. You are actually the reason I started this special series on the fifth quarter on the sideline. Yes, you are. And the reason being is because, obviously I'm VP of the Rebounders. So my first goal is to Memphis basketball, but I've been kind of vocal the past few months about the lack of media attention to women's basketball, especially women's sports in Memphis. And couple of months ago, one of my friends, he said, "Did you hear Madison got a contract overseas?" And I was like, no, no one said anything. And I go online because I'm pretty vocal on, I'm pretty online a lot of times because that's part of my job. But I go online and can't find any place where they mentioned it. And I was already upset because they weren't talking about the portal for women's basketball. So I was like, I want to interview her, but how can I do it? Because the fifth quarter is really about retired players.
Okay.
In any sport. And so I'm like, you know what? Because there's other people I want to interview too. I'm going to just do a special sub series called On the Sideline, and then I can interview you. So you are actually the reason that I came up with that. So you're not my first guest on the sideline, but I've been hoping and figuring out a way I could get a hold of you. So we did that, and you're here, and I thank you so much for that. And I'll try not to fangirl very much. Okay, so let's just dive right in because I am excited about your next step in your career. So let's dive right into what is next for you career-wise.
Okay. So I will be playing professionally in Greece,
Yes.
about in Athens, about 20 minutes outside of Athens. So it's all about the same
Sure.
distance in Greece. So around Athens. So I will start playing preseason starts August around the 20th, but I will get there early so I can start workouts early, my teammates and bond and all that kind of stuff. Stuff that you would do with a team basically. And then we'll probably start like October. I think the season is similar to college, be October,
Right.
but it's a little longer, October to like April, because we only play one game a week. But yeah, it's still
That's kind of good.
yeah, So
But I guess in retrospect that might not be because you're only getting intense gameplay once a week.
yeah, and yeah, it can be kind of like I want to say boring, but you know, it can just take longer in the season because like it's not as fun practicing every day and not playing as many games.
Right.
But it is what it is. So yeah, but I think it'll be better on the body though, one game a week.
I do agree with that. So, I've had a lot of previous Memphis players on here who played overseas before email, before the internet, but even some after that. And they've talked about, it's kind of, you have to really not necessarily entertain yourself, but you have to find ways to keep yourself from getting too bored.
Yes.
So have you given any thought to like, are you going to go to some schools and try to like coach and things like that over there? Like what have you already thought about possibly doing?
I thought about exploring. I love to explore. So I would literally like if I have off days, I'll be at the beach
Right.
or traveling. It's really easy to get around in Europe. So
Yes.
I have cheap public transportation. So I can literally go anywhere and make a small trip, So I love to travel and explore. And definitely get out in the community and talk to people, get to know people, network, all that kind of things. But I have someone going with me, so they'll probably keep me busy too. So yeah, I'll figure some stuff out. I'm very creative, so I can make up a lot of things to do.
Sure. Sometimes I think women have a better time at that than men.
Yeah.
Men don't necessarily, I don't know, they don't think outside the box very much. Now, this is not your first time in Greece. I believe the University of Memphis women's team went, what, 2 years ago to Greece?
Yep, 2 years in August.
And again, that wasn't in the papers. I didn't even, how I found out about it. I saw it an Instagram post for the
Yeah.
women's team. That's how I found out about it.
Mhm.
I'll quit bashing the Memphis media for a little bit. Uh, just asking them to do better.
Right.
So, where is one place that you didn't get to go previously that you would like to go see in Greece?
Santorini. Definitely
Ah,
I would
yes.
make a trip in Santorini. I will try so I go down there August 1st and we don't start till August 22nd. So those like 2 weeks and a half. I'm
Hmm.
gonna try to make a little small trip to Santorini and just get the views in and probably take a ferry just to see all the little small islands
Oh,
too.
yes.
But definitely Santorini is on my list when I go for sure.
Um, do you like Greek food?
It was decent. I think if I'm there long enough, my palate can change to where I can
Mm,
start to like it. But I was
right.
only 2 weeks and
Yeah.
2 years ago, so
Yeah.
it was new to me. I'm not saying
Hmm.
it was bad or really good. Some places were good, some places were bad.
Right.
I think if when I'm once I'm there and I know I have to eat this food like every, I think my palate will adjust to it. So uh,
um,
I'll
when
definitely find spots.
when I was in England, in Germany, and they definitely could use some extra spices in their food. But again, some of the previous players, they actually one of the things that they picked up was they learned how to cook for themselves really well, just because they got tired of eating, the local
Mm.
food,
Yeah.
and then they just got tired of going out and stuff like that. So let's just go back. When did you start playing basketball?
I think I definitely started elementary, probably fourth, fifth grade, maybe. I'm trying to think. Yeah, fourth, fifth grade. I started with AAU because you can't play school ball really in elementary school. But
Right.
yeah, I got outside and played. My family introduced me to basketball, and I just loved it ever since. I got really serious in middle school. Um, I was playing school ball in middle school. We were a really good team. I don't know if you know Lynetta and Lanice. You remember them? Do you remember Lynetta and Lanice? They played on women's team last year. Yeah,
Uh,
last year. Well,
Probably not too much.
yeah, but I've been playing with them since I was in middle school.
That's
Uh,
pretty cool.
yeah, so we got really serious in middle school and we won a couple championships in middle school and I played AAU in middle school also. So that's when I got serious. But I started about fourth, fifth grade though.
So, was there a moment you remember when you just kind of fell in love with the game and it was just more than just something to do?
Yeah, when I first realized I can really shoot the ball, I was like, wow, I can I'm a shooter, like I can really shoot. And I figured that out middle school also, but I elevated it more and more and more every year. But definitely when I seen the ball go in as much as I did, I was like, this is very, very, very satisfying to me. Like
It,
shooting Uh-huh.
It's kind of like gambling. It gives you kind of like that. Well, I shouldn't compare it to gambling. It gives you like that satisfaction of
Yeah.
excitement that you want to repeat.
Yes, yes, it does. Like shooting and just playing in general, like bringing that energy is so satisfying to me. Bringing good energy on the court and seeing my teammates play well and seeing them happy on the court,
Yeah.
it like lit lights up my face. So like I just love the whole thing of it.
What would you say to players out there, girls specifically, that don't necessarily buy into the team spirit? Because there are kids out there that have just kind of gone through the ISO.
Hmm. Uh, I mean, I don't think basketball is fun if you
Mm,
don't have yeah,
yeah,
if you don't have your teammates, like what are you gonna do when you have a bad game? You know what I'm saying? Like
that's
you
right.
have to have your teammates to lift you up and help you do better. And you do the same for them. Like that's why I'm so successful because I lift up my teammates even when I'm having a bad game. Like they literally make me feel so much better seeing them play good and seeing them
Sure.
happy, seeing them be successful. And that's what gets me out of my funk of like, "Ah, I'm playing bad. Okay, so what? I can just focus on my teammates and see them having fun, and that's gonna make me have fun. So it's like you have to get outside of yourself to have even more fun. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Basketball is not an individual sport. So being a part of the team is one of the best parts of it. You gotta embrace that.
So when did you realize that you might have a future in basketball?
Definitely high school, my freshman year of high school. I came out and played for Flight, Tennessee Flight. They're a big organization for AAU. And
Hmm.
I played at Boo Williams tournament and I did really good. I got MVP of the tournament and I was playing point guard and shooting guard. I was like, yeah, this is it. It was so much fun. I had the best teammates. Like it was one of the best teams I was on. And it was just we played so well together and it was just the best, like one of my best years playing basketball. And yeah.
So that was Houston High School in Germantown. I guess it's technically Germantown, here in the Memphis area. And I have a good friend who is a coach out there, Coach Randy Forrester, and he wanted me to tell you hello. So I'm going to give you a shout out from him. Um, what do you do to stay humble when you have those great games? Because you've broken a lot of records both at Houston and at Memphis. So how do you keep yourself humble? How do you keep yourself real every day and not let it get to your head?
Yeah, I just always look at film and see my mistakes. I have to always remind myself like there's still more to do. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? No matter how much you do, you can always do more. You can always do more. Of course, praise yourself,
right,
congratulate, but there's always more to do. And that keeps me humble. Like, even though I'm a great player, I still think I'm not in WNBA yet.
right.
And so that's my next journey to get to the WNBA. So just staying humble, keep working, keep breaking records and keep winning. And my next thing is getting to WNBA and winning the championship because I haven't done that in
Right.
the 8 years I've been playing. I won some in middle school, but I don't really count. I count high school and college. So
Sure.
you know what I mean? So like just knowing that there's always more to do, always more work to do, that I can always be better. So that's
That
really it.
that's a really great attitude to have. We've had a couple of players on here who talked about their college careers.
Yeah.
They were really good when they started, and then they got kind of full of themselves and they stopped working as hard and it really took a toll on their career. And they freely admitted that, which I was kind of shocked about. But it's all of this is really good for the players up and coming,
Yeah.
and just everybody in general. Because I think sports, a lot of the sports stories can also translate into just regular people with regular jobs
Right.
and all the things that they do. So you had a fantastic career at Houston High School. I think you guys went to state championship 3 years in a row,
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah,
which
we
which which is no small feat and is incredibly impressive.
right.
And it goes back to that consistency. It's great to do it one time, but
Right.
to consistently do it is even better because that's the mark of a really great not only team but individual players that really just hone in their skills and stay locked in. You graduated in 2019 from Houston and you went to Memphis. What was the decision to pick Memphis? Were you being recruited by anybody else?
Yeah, I was recruited by a good amount of schools, especially starting out, but I eventually, got it down to about a handful. Coach Alex actually recruited me when she was at Ole Miss.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. That's the main reason why I stayed, because I already knew who Alex was. And I knew she liked my game. So I was like, that's a perfect situation because she
Right.
tried to recruit me at Ole Miss. But yeah, I definitely had a handful of, Power Five, mid-major, all that. But
Right.
Memphis, I did want to come out playing. I did want to I didn't, because I understood that, like, the bigger the schools, it's like more politics, honestly.
Yes. Yes, it
So
is.
I wanted to, stay more in the mid, but high, because Memphis is like a high, really the highest mid major,
Right.
one of the highest mid major schools you can go to. So yeah, I didn't want to get into politics, honestly. I just wanted to play. I wanted to have fun, and I knew Memphis would be a good spot for me to start at least, And of course, my family's here. Well, is in Memphis, so
Right.
that was definitely pulling me over there too. But yeah, I wanted to come out the gate playing and making an impact for my team immediately. And I knew I could do that at a bigger school also, but I knew it would take some time. So it was just on really what I wanted to do. And I figured out what I wanted to do early. So I think that kind of really helped me.
When did you commit to Memphis? Were you still in high school? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
guessing. Yeah.
yeah, I think I was a junior, maybe a
Right.
junior in high school, I think, when I committed to Memphis. And I signed a year later, my senior year. Yeah, I think that's what.
So, and I just lost my train of thought about what question I was about to ask you about that. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
So, we talk about that, and when you spent 1 year at Memphis, and then COVID hit.
Hmm.
Now, for everybody out there, I'm sure they remember the TV news talking about the men's conference tournament in Fort Worth and them announcing it was going to be not played and everybody was coming home. But for the women, did y'all have because normally your conference tournament is like a week before that. But were you guys in Memphis, and how did that news get to you, and like how did you react personally? What was that like to you?
Do you mean the news of like the
Of the
conference?
No, 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 the news of everything shutting down from COVID.
Okay, okay, okay. It was very, very shocking, but me personally, I try not to let, you know, outside things kind of affect my insides.
Right.
So I just try to go with the flow. So I'm
And at
not,
that time, we didn't know how long it was going to last.
yeah,
It's easy to look back now and go, "Oh my God," it was, but then I think everybody kind of thought it was going to be like a couple of weeks, and it was already the season was over.
yeah,
So it didn't play a big part, I don't think, at that moment. But then when you guys came back to school in the fall, um, we were still shut down for the most part, and you guys didn't have any fans to play in front of.
yeah. It was really not how it was at the end. Like
Yeah,
no fans being there, it's not the funnest, but
right.
you have to still play. And that year really, really showed me like, okay, if I stay where I'm at, I am not going to get any better. And it just like COVID year really taught me a lot of things. It taught me a lot of things basketball wise. Like, I'm not saying it was because of the fans, but we didn't have that energy in the,
Right.
and
And you
so
have to self motivate
yeah,
yourself.
yes, and I didn't have that. And I realized like, hold on. something's missing. And I'm like, I just had to figure that out and get that for myself that year. That's what made me who I am really that COVID year. Cause I was like, I can't, not just
Right.
stop. Right. I can't just not be who I want to be. I have to be who I want to be. And COVID year really taught me how to be who I want to be.
And you can't always, I always try to look for the positive things
Mm-hmm.
in situations. And you can't control how many people show up for a game,
Right.
but you can control how you produce.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people necessarily realize that because they're never put in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
So, and let's just get back to your freshman year. You had a standout killer freshman year.
Exactly.
And I'm going to put all the, because I'm not going to read the long list of records that you have broken in both high school and college, but I definitely want to give you your due because you worked hard, you accomplished so much, and I'll put those all in the show notes. Um, but oh, I know what I was going to ask you earlier. See, we're just having a conversation here. So, and I ask a lot of the athletes, well, I ask most of the athletes this. When you were a senior in high school and you were getting ready to decide and you're getting ready to pick the school, did you give much thought into what major you were going to have in college? Like
Yeah.
what you were going to choose?
Yeah, I wanted to get in the medical field. Uh,
Really?
yeah, I started in the medical field, honestly, because in high school I had I forgot what kind of injury I had, but I had an injury and I was going to physical therapy for it. And my physical therapist was such a nice guy and
Mm-hmm.
he did great. He was great at his job and it seemed so nice to do what he was doing. And I was like, I would love to do that. Um, so I started doing started the medical field and
Right.
going my training for physical therapy and stuff like that. And
It's hard as a student
yeah.
athlete.
It is really hard to be in the medical field as a student athlete. So
Yeah.
after no, after my sophomore year, I cut it because
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, I don't want to. I want to play basketball, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my all into basketball. I put my all into school also, but I was like, I'm gonna take a more easier route for school,
Sure.
so I can put all my focus into basketball. And I think that really, really paid off for me. Like it really did, because I still did school obviously, but I was in the gym. I was in the
Right.
gym all the time. I went to study hall maybe for an hour and I was in the gym. Like I'm in the gym all the time. So I was like, I need to make mental space so I can
Sure.
fully focus on basketball.
So many athletes have talked about that, and Garrett Kelly, director of basketball operations for the men's team, he was on last week and he talked about, the same thing. He said, I did learn something. I took PR and communications. I learned a little bit. He said, but I knew I wanted to be a coach,
Mhm.
and that was what I was majoring in. And that's what I focused all of my attention on.
Right.
You still do what you got to do to get the degree, but it's just like anything else. It's for students that want to be a doctor, they're going to focus on being a doctor,
Right.
and there's absolutely nothing wrong with focusing on a career professionally that can get you farther and can teach you so many things,
Yeah.
not just about that. So let's talk about the hardest part of being a student athlete. What was that for you in college?
Okay, so that was basically my COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through a lot mentally, and it showed on the court physically also. And I was contemplating on quitting basketball. I didn't. It's like I don't know if this is for me. Like I kind of got in my head like after my freshman year, I thought I was
Right.
all, and because I had a great year, and I came back my sophomore year and I had a horrible year. I had horrible people around me. I had horrible relationships that just put negative things in my head, and I was like, I can't live my life like this. So I had to decide what I wanted to do,
Right.
then and there. So it's, I think the most challenging part was becoming more mentally strong, being able to um get out or be whoever I wanted to be, no matter what my circumstances was looking like. Okay, cool. I had a bad year. I
Right.
got some relationships that I didn't need. Okay, it's time to lock in and do better. So it's really the mental aspect, and also being fatigued, being a college athlete, student athlete, you're gonna be tired all the time. I'm
Yeah.
still tired from working out today. I'm sore, like my body is so sore today. And you just got to fight through it. You got to learn how to get that mental toughness, that mental strength, and not like where you're unavailable, like
Mm-hmm.
emotionally or physically, mentally, but a balance of
Sure.
where you can produce while you're feeling all these kind of things and feel them at the same time, but you can
Right.
also still produce. So I think that's the hardest thing for me, like for student athletes, just balancing that life and still being able to perform.
Right.
I'm saying because it has to coexist because it's going to happen. Both of them are going to happen. So you have to be able to coexist it.
And I do think that the COVID year for you will bode well for you overseas.
Yes. Yes.
As much as, because I've heard, where they speak English, you're still separated from America.
Right.
And you've still got to, after the first couple of months, homesickness can set in, even for the people that are the most traveled, or, it still can get to you. And I think that will bode very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I did want to skip back when you not transferred, when you left Houston and started at Memphis, what was the biggest eye opener for you from playing high school ball to playing college ball?
Speed and defense.
Yeah.
It was way quicker in college, and my defense was not as good as I thought. Yeah, so I remember Jessica. She was my old assistant coach under Melissa. She was like, "We want to start you, but you can't keep getting scored on." Like, oh. So I really had to lock in on like defense, and I just learned over the years that defense is just effort and it's just heart, and it's just like you have to want to be able to do it, and you can't be lazy playing defense,
No, you can't.
and not be lazy. So it was speed and defense that was the biggest transition that I had to uh get on because yeah, you can't be successful if you're not. Well, I don't want to say you have to be the fastest, but it's just back and forth. You have to be in shape. You have to be in shape. That's the thing.
Yes. Yes.
Just playing
Um,
defense.
it's funny because one of our first guests was William Bedford, who played for Memphis back in the late 80s. And
Mhm.
he said when he realized he could just run back and forth up and down the court, he's like, that was tough.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
said to him, it made it fun
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it made it seem kind of easy. It's always interesting to get people's perspective on that.
Hmm.
Um, and today, we have a lot of talk about defense. And I guess I hear a lot of conversations around younger players don't necessarily, they just want to do the dunks and the
Yeah.
3 pointers, and they don't want to focus on defense because they're not scoring.
Right.
But defense is incredibly important to the game.
Right.
And a player, I think, can get more playing time if they play really hard defense because you can't just have shooters.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
somebody told me, they said, if you think about how many times your hands touch a ball during a game, what is that player doing all those other times when
Right.
the ball is not in their hand?
Right. Yeah.
Or,
Exactly.
we're only talking about basketball today. I'm not going to get into football. I don't know anything about football. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I will say during college, you had 3 different coaches. You had
Mm.
Melissa McFerrin, you had um, Katrina Merriweather, and then Alex Simmons. And especially in light of the transfer portal days now and people, and I don't know if girls or women are transferring schools as much as the men,
Right.
but what did that teach you about having a different coach, over 3 times? What did that teach you about how to kind of adapt easily?
Yeah. It that's what it taught me, adaptation. And it taught me to always remain myself and play like me,
Right.
be confident in my skills because I can play for whoever, with whoever, because I feel like I'm a great player and a great teammate and uh, I'm a very coachable player.
Right.
I buy in to what my coach needs from me. I buy in for what the team needs from me. So it just taught me it built my confidence in myself that I can play under three coaches and still have the same results
Yes.
under every single coach. So when people come at me with excuses transferring, I'm like, I don't want to hear that because I'm living proof of being under three different coaches, entirely three different coaches.
And they coach differently, all three of them.
So yeah, they're
Yeah.
entirely three
Yeah.
different coaches, and I'm the same player. I play the same, and I have had the same success.
Right.
So it's about loyalty and investment in yourself. And that would just show out in the program. I was so loyal and invested in myself. I didn't feel the need to leave Memphis. And you know what I'm saying? Like I was committed to myself so I could be committed to Memphis. So yeah.
So that brings up a good question because Coach Forrester wanted me to specifically, I think he thinks it's a great story that you chose to stay after, because you had 5 years, you had an extra year because of COVID. And that was the year that Coach Simmons, became the new coach, and you chose to stay. Was that a hard decision at all? I mean, based on what you just said, I would think no, but was that a hard decision, and kind of what played into that?
Yeah, because at first I definitely had my mind set on leaving. Um,
Can I ask why? Why did you have why did you have it set on leaving?
okay, so it wasn't because of the coaches or anything. As you know, last year ended pretty chaotic.
Yes, it did.
So all of that, not just the situation, but everything leading up to that, it just didn't sit right with me. So, and I'm not blaming anybody specifically for it,
Right.
but just circumstances happen, situations happen. So I was ready to just leave Memphis, honestly. I was just ready to get away, get a new start
Right.
fresh, and maybe go to a bigger school, get my name out there a little bit more. But at the same time, I was not ready to leave, honestly. I don't think I was prepared enough to leave just yet. Um, and I was waiting on who was going to be the coach and seeing who was going to be on my team.
Right.
It took some time. I'm glad that I took my time and made that decision. I'm glad I didn't go off my first instincts. I just sat on it for a couple weeks, and I think I made the best decision for me to stay. Uh, I especially made my decision after I talked to Coach Alex. So, uh, yeah, I definitely had my mind set on leaving because of that whole year. The whole year we did really, really good, but it was a really, really stressful year.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I had my mind set. But
Was there anything specific that Coach Simmons said that kind of just really sealed the deal for you?
yeah, the first thing she told me that Maddie, I need you to come out and shoot like Caitlin Clark, shoot from half court. She
Okay,
told me,
and can
yeah,
I just say you came out, I believe your senior year was your best year.
yes,
Or your
yes.
or your fifth year. Your fifth year was your best year.
It was like she did a great job at pushing me to get outside of my comfort zone. When I tell you that lady pushed, like I am confident in being a pro because of Alex Simmons. Like she pushed me past my limit and anything I have ever done on the court and off the court. Like so she really got me out of my comfort zone. That's why I had my best year. I had to.
It's funny. I've met her several times. When I met them first. We had a private dinner for them out at Southwind, and
Yeah.
I guess they'd only been here like a couple of months, and I met the whole staff and loved the whole staff, just loved them. And that's nothing against Katrina and her staff. I'd met her a couple of times. It was just, I guess, a different situation.
Mhm.
Um, and I had them all on the podcast. Every single one of them have been on here. Um, but Coach Simmons intimidates me. And I've actually told her this because I've like reintroduced myself to her when I've seen her. She's like, we've already met. And I'm like, I know. And then when I had her on here, she was the last one in the series. I'm like, I don't know why, but you make me nervous. And she's like, and then she just has that, that
Yeah.
solemn face. And she's like, I don't know why. And I'm like, and I'm just babbling. Yeah, it's been pretty funny. But when I reintroduce myself and she's like, we've already met.
Yeah.
Right, we have. um, so a little bit of so okay, so now I start babbling and I get off. So okay, let's ask this. I'm all about giving advice. What advice would you give to high school senior girls who want to play at the collegiate level? Like
Mm.
they're starting their senior year in high school. What would you suggest to them? Maybe three things to kind of help prepare them for recruiting or college or whatever.
Great attitude, positive attitude / open mind. All
Right.
that attitude, basically. Have a great attitude. Stay in the gym, no matter how good you do. Always know that you can be better. Focus on your end goal, whatever that may be. Always focus on your end goal and have intention on everything that you do so it can be towards your end goal. Um, and pay attention to your community. Pay attention to the people that you hang around because they are who you will become. So pay attention to your teammates, your friends, because some people you can't control the environment you grow in, but you can also still control the people that you hang around. So
Exactly.
make sure you have great people in your corner, in your space that make you feel good. Because if you have people around you that don't make you feel good, you're not going to feel good. So, be around people that raise and lift you up so you can feel
Yes.
it. So I think that's the three big things that I would advise kids that's going to college.
It's hard, and I've never been an athlete, but it is hard to leave that group behind when you leave high school and go into college.
Yeah.
And, the people that you left behind, a lot of them are not athletes or they're not going to college or they're not going to college with you. And you're going on a different path. And it is hard because suddenly your goals are different than theirs. And it can be difficult to have or maintain those friendships. And you're right. When I'm around people that gossip all the time or just complain all the time, it physically affects me. Like it bothers me. And I'm really good about the people I keep around myself.
Mhm.
But I was listening to a podcast today. There's a book out. It's a little off sports, but it's not. It's 10 times better. And just a little bit of it, it talks to about what you said about, have the end goal in mind. And the book is about don't just think about doubling your effort.
Mhm.
Think about making it 10 times the effort. But
Mhm.
what really resonated with me is they said, think about who you want to be
Yeah.
and let that define who you are now,
Mhm.
because who you want to be is going to tell you what you need to do now to get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that played right in. I sound like I'm just a real like podcast host. Okay. Everybody's out there probably laughing right now. So let's go into what for you, because you have a lot of records, and I'm just gonna give you like I just want to make sure everybody knows that you have a lot of records that you've broken. What's the most special one for you at Memphis? Like what's the most special record that you broke for you at Memphis?
Uh, I honestly think they're really close right next to each other. My first record that I broke, which was my 96, and my last record, because I'm the greatest shooter.
That's right.
But I think 96 comes up first because
That was your
that,
freshman year.
yeah, and that's the legacy of my brand that I have now. So that really stuck with me, my 96. I love that number. It's just all around just a great thing. Not just because of my record, but everything
Right.
else comes with it. But yeah, I think that's it. And close runner up, my last record that I broke that made me become the greatest shooter in history.
At
So
Memphis. Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. Um, you know, we're going to get into your brand in just a second.
Mhm.
and I should have paid attention when I wrote up the questions because I have my little agenda here. But let's just jump in a quick because I believe you've been working out with Coach Hardaway this summer.
Yeah, I was. Yep.
Um, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned from him working out with him this summer that he's taught you?
Yeah. Being consistent and showing up, and no matter what, how I'm feeling, locked in and just ready. It's really quick, but it's really focused and it's really effective and efficient. So yeah, just being locked in every time I step in the gym, like, because when we come in there, he's not playing, like he's ready, and he's on a time schedule.
He
So
is. He is.
let's go in and out. Let's go get this rep in, get it done, get it do it right, so we can go to the next thing. And he's not rushing, but we're focused and we're going. So he just taught me how to come in and just lock in. It's time to work. Like, we're here to work. You
I
know what I'm
remember
saying?
I remember, sorry to interrupt. I remember we had his radio show and you
Mhm.
guys were playing and you were on the television
Yeah.
and he wasn't even listening to Jeff Brightwell. He's
Yeah.
like watching the television because I think you were about to break some type of record that night too. And so he was just like watching the whole thing and the game was still going on. So he like left early so that he could go home and finish watching the game.
Yeah.
I just thought that, that to me is really cool and the support. Were you ever intimidated when you first met him?
No, he seemed very open. He seemed very open person. I'll just go up to him and, "What's up, Penny?" He'd be like, "Hey, Maddie." We just, dap up and stuff. So he was always a very open person, because he would come to our gym and just, talk to Katrina, Coach Merriweather sometimes, and just hang out and talk to us, say hey. So he never came across like closed or intimidating. He was always a cool person. So I started going to his practices my fifth year, just watching and seeing how he coach and learning and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And I just talked to him a couple times there, and that's how I got locked in with him to work out with him.
I
Uh,
think that's very cool. So now let's go into your official brand, and it's 96th and Madison. And you had mentioned the 96 came from your freshman year in your
yeah,
record you broke for three pointers. What what led up to creating that brand? Was there a specific reason or had you been thinking about that?
yeah. I want to. I'm not. I'm pretty sure you do remember Abby Jump that was under.
Yes, I do.
She
We
actually
we
gave.
were Instagram friends. Like I was all yeah, we were Instagram friends and
Uh,
still are.
yeah. She actually helped me bring up the idea of 96 in Madison. Like, we were in Greece actually. We were on a boat, taking a ferry around the islands and stuff. It was just like a perfect moment.
Right?
Uh, so we were talking and she was like, what do you want to do? It's like, what you mean? She was like, what do you want to do? Like, after basketball or whenever, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to live like this every day. Just like, and not saying like vacation and every day, but I want to be somewhere beautiful where I
Right.
feel great every day, like how we were feeling like in Greece. It was just so beautiful and it was just so relaxing. I had no worries in the world. I felt free. I was like,
Right.
I feel like this and be like and live like this every single day. And she was like, because I've been contemplating on something. Like, I've always been a guru on creating stuff and creating something that can make me a millionaire, or something that's going to provide my life the way I want to live. So, and I think 96 is that. It will be that.
Right.
But she came up, she was like, "Oh, once you start a brand, you've done so much at Memphis, build something off of that." And I was like, that is smart. Like, I could build like a legacy or something off of it.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Yeah, 96 to Madison." I was like, "Huh?" She was like, 96, that's how many threes you made. And I was like, "Oh my God, that sounds
It
perfect."
does. I thought it was like the street intersection of something. Like that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody literally says that's in New York. I was like, no, but it'll be there soon. Like, it's definitely a street in New York, but to have a storefront 96 in Madison on 96 in Madison, that would be crazy.
That would
But
be
yeah, she was like, just get you a brand, start you something that you can continue to build. I was like, that sounds really good. So after that, we literally got back to the hotel. She started drawing up ideas and stuff for me, and literally it came. I did the logo myself,
I
but
think it's very cool. It's
yeah,
very cool. And
she came up with the font and everything.
and it's something that, I see it from the guys. I just don't see as much from the women.
Yeah, right.
It's important, especially, there's not that many paths for pro sports after college for women. And I think that women are losing, or they're not stepping up to the plate to build that brand while they're in college, that they can take that and monetize that after school and do something else with it. There's
Yeah,
speaking opportunities, there's all kinds of things that they can do with their reputation. And I
right.
just don't think that women athletes are really dialing into that to take that and make something of it. And yours is really different because it's not just your name.
Mhm.
It's something interesting. And I like the clothes. I was on your website looking at the clothes, which I've seen them because I follow you guys on Instagram. But I like the whole thing.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Like, what's your next step to do with this?
Oh, well, I did mention previously that I wanted to, make me money, but that's not like the sole purpose of it.
Right,
I literally want to take my legacy and encourage people to do the same in whatever they do.
right,
I basketball, so I'm great at playing basketball, and I created a legacy off playing basketball. Do whatever you love to do and create a legacy off of that. Be your greatest at whatever
right.
you want to do. So I just want to inspire people, kids, everything, everybody to do what you want to do. Be free, be happy, but do it. You know what I'm saying? Like put your all into it, and so you can be great at what you do. But I think my next step is just to keep getting my message out, keep getting my message and let it become more of a influencing brand that can influence
Right.
people in a positive way, and that's like my next like mental aspect of it. But my physical is to release a athletic line so I can
Okay.
play in my own clothes when I play professional.
Yes.
Yeah, so like how I'm playing in Nike now, I want to be able to when I play, I have my symbol on all my
Right.
clothes.
Right.
Leggings, compression shorts, compression shirts,
Right.
headbands, socks. Because when I step on that court, I want to represent me, you know. So and my legacy, right?
Right.
So that's definitely my next step that I will get into over my next years of playing pro. So yeah, definitely just to push that message out to people, to get it out and for them to gravitate towards it and to feel it, to feel real by it, like, you know, um, and just get my athletic line out.
We had a Harlem Globetrotter on here, and his brand is actually kindness is free. That's his
Mm-hmm.
brand. And it's all about, he's like, you can be kind. It doesn't cost anything to be kind to people. And he's really pushed that. What was the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur in this whole process of creating your brand? Like what was the hardest part of that? Or the thing that you found
Yeah.
most surprising?
Um, Honestly, trying to think like starting, excuse me, like my entrepreneurship, I mean, it wasn't a rush or it wasn't just because my intentions behind it was very
Right.
good. So there wasn't much difficulty about it. It's just me personally, it was just the labor part of it because I embroidered my own clothes, I stitched my own clothes.
I
I
did
just,
not know that.
yeah, everything that I have made myself. I came up with my own logo. If you don't notice, it has the 9 and the 6
I
and
do, but I didn't know you embroidered it yourself.
Yeah, I do all my own clothes.
Did
So
you
like
already did you already know how to embroidery?
no, it took me about a year and a half to actually good enough to sell some good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like at the beginning, I was just practicing and trying. And I was just putting out stuff, you know, just to see how it would do. But now it's gotten to a place to where it's really good that that a lot of people will pay good money for it, you know? So
Do you still embroidery every single piece of merchandise that you sell?
all the bulk that I have now for my summer collection, yeah, I
Hmm.
did every single piece of it. I did every single piece of it. I distressed every single piece of it. I literally did. I just ordered the clothes and I customized the whole thing by myself.
Okay, Maddie, you need to be pushing that out. I mean, you need to like I hate to be saying you need, but
No,
I
no,
mean, but
yeah,
because that's important. Like nobody else really does it. The men don't do that. Somebody's
yeah,
like processing those. But the fact that you hand embroidery all of those, I think that's a great part of that story.
yeah. And a thing like, okay, I can say this is the most difficult was maintaining my performance on the court and maintaining a business off the court.
Yeah.
You know,
And going to school.
and going
That's
to
right.
school.
That's right. That's right.
Going to school. That's three things that I was doing. I literally did that my whole year. For my fifth year, I was embroidering my clothes, getting them out because people were buying. I was playing, had to perform. I was traveling, had to do schoolwork. I had literally had to balance all of that at one time, and sometimes it became a lot. But man, like it's nothing more gratifying and satisfying than to be able to do it. You know?
I think everybody should go buy your merchandise now because the fact that you hand embroidered that and you actually do that, to me, that is so impressive and it makes your brand that much more special. So
Mhm.
I'm going to link everything where you can go buy her merchandise in the show notes. Um, so let's go into, we already talked about all of that. Um, what do you want Memphis fans to remember about you?
That's a good question. I never thought about that. Um, I want them to remember my smile, like my joy, my happiness. I feel like that I've brought my light that I've brought to the program. You know, I've my blood, sweat, and tears that I've left in this program.
Yeah.
You know, I just want them to remember who I was and what I've done for Memphis. You know, I'm not bragging or anything, but I think I've done a lot
You've
of
made your
good.
mark definitely. And
Right.
and as a hometown girl, like that's even like to me that's even more special.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, you know, just everything that I've done, not just basketball wise, but the commitment that I had, the loyalty that I had to
Yeah.
to the fans. And I'm not saying like anybody owes me anything but I wanted to do that. And, you know, it would be nice to be remembered by that.
Well, and I think that, that was something Coach Forrester said was just he talked about your loyalty
Yeah.
and your family and how much like, you love the city of Memphis and you wanted to stay here. Um, but to me, I mean, I look at the pictures of you on the website for Memphis basketball and you're always smiling and I love that cuz I'm one of those two. I'm a smiler. Like I'm always going to smile. I
Yeah.
I choose to be happy is what
Right.
is kind of how I think about it. What do you think and you've kind of I think already answered this, but what do you feel is your biggest value to others today?
My my attitude basically, like my presence. I feel like when I walk in a room, you people notice me, no matter if they know me or not. I think I bring such great energy to a room. You know, I feel like I fill the room with my energy and I inspire so many people just by being me. You know,
Right.
I feel like I have done so much to create the life that I always wanted to live. And even though I'm still very, very young, I'm living as the exact life that I've always imagined to live. And I'm thinking I'm about to tear up because I'm like,
I love it when y'all get emotional on here. I made two of the coaches cry on here. of the women's coaches.
Man, it's literally surreal. Like my life feels so surreal sometimes because I'm so happy and so grateful for what I have done and where I'm going. Like what 22-year-old,
You're
you
exactly
know,
right.
have done what I have done, and not just on the court, but impacted so many people. And I can go live in the DR for 2 months at 22 years old and don't have to go somewhere and work a job. I can
So,
do what.
so she's going to the Dominican Republic for 2 months before she heads to Greece. So, um, yeah, I think that's wonderful. So to feed off of that question, what would you tell a 9-year-old Madison if you
Mm,
could go back and speak to 9-year-old Madison? What would you tell her?
just keep being you. I've always been like this. And don't let anybody, affect what you're doing because kids are so impressionable. And I was very
Mhm.
impressionable when I was young. So, just to keep having fun, keep dreaming and keep believing because it will happen. It will happen for you. So don't ever give up on your dreams, and if you feel bad, get away from it. If you feel
Yes.
like you're not being loved or appreciated, get away from it. So just to tell her to keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep doing that. Keep going towards it. Don't ever lose sight of your dreams. Don't ever lose sight.
I'm so excited to see what you accomplish in the next season in Greece. And I'm so jealous that you're going to be over there, but I'm also so incredibly happy for you. I just love to see women excel, and you just have set such a great example being from Memphis and being a female athlete that I'm so proud of you. So as a reminder, please follow Madison on all of her social media channels. I will pop those into the show notes. And please go buy some of her 96th and Madison merchandise, hand
Yes.
embroidered by her herself. I'll put all the links, as I said, in the show notes of this episode. Madison, thank you so much for being on today's show. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for you.
Thank you so much.
As we wrap up this episode of On the Sideline, thank you all for listening, especially if you've made it all the way to this part of the show. I'm hoping that I could ask a small favor if you have. Please take 60 seconds and give the show a review on Apple. It helps the show get found, and I love to read all the notes. My mantra is like, share, and review. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special series On the Sideline here on the Fifth Quarter Podcast with former Tiger and future Pro Baller Madison Griggs. Until next time, remember, change is our ally and it paves the way for greatness. Stay inspired. Have a great rest of the week.